keeping children safe is a priority for all parents, but what happens when that job falls to the public? Joining me now with more on the challenges of child welfare is Bill Waldman. Bill is a lecturer and executive in residence at Rutgers School of Social Work, and he's also the former commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services. Bill, thank you for joining us. So let's discuss the basics of how the system works to protect children.
Right. Basically, each state sets up an organization which is charged with the responsibility of safety, permanency, and well-being for children. In New Jersey, it's currently called the New Jersey Division of Child Protection and Permanency. When I ran it, it was called the Division of Youth and Family Services, or DYFS more popularly. But the job is that if any citizen in the state views a situation where they believe a child has been abused or neglected, they're obligated by law to report that to the state so an investigation can occur and a outcome that supports the best safety, permanency, and well-being of children is achieved.
Okay, now I know the main objective is not to pull these children out of their homes.
Exactly.
They want to keep them with the families. At what point do you decide to take a child and that's in their best interest from their home?
It's a very hard decision in every case. Usually the best practice is to make a clear assessment of safety and risk to the child. If that's acceptable, then all services should be provided to the family to attempt to keep the family together, if possible. That's the goal.
Now, how do you work with the family to try and get them back into their home with their family?
Sure. There may be issues that's related to poverty, where people don't have enough clothing for their children or food. There may be a problem of substance abuse or mental illness or domestic violence that puts a child at risk. And then all the services necessary to deal with those can be put in place. Substance abuse counseling, treatment, mental health treatment, protection for the victim of domestic violence and others. Temporary foster care. Sometimes families are at a state of crisis where they can't provide a safe home, but and the child is removed, and then services are provided for the family to help them overcome the problems, and hopefully the child can be returned. If not, then there's a termination, a legal action to terminate the parent's rights and move the child on to adoption.
And how would someone interested in fostering a child, how would they find out more information?
Well, they call
up
the state of New Jersey. You just Google the Department of Children and Families, it's called now, and there's an 800 number that they could call and learn how to become a foster adoptive parent. That's a wonderful thing to do.
Now, we hear a lot of the stories that go bad on the news. And how has, if at all, the public perception changed what you do and how effective?
It's very hard because often the public judges the performance of the Child Welfare Agency based on the latest headline-grabbing tragedy. And certainly there should be accountability when things go wrong, but if you remember in a state like New Jersey, for example, in the previous year, over 90,000 children were referred. Each case was carefully reviewed, and I got to tell you, when you do 90,000 of anything, one or two are going to go south. And the problem with that is that when the judgment is made based on that one bad case, then people are less willing to become foster or adoptive parents. Doctors, teachers, or others that are key actors in helping us keep kids safe are kind of turned off and don't want to cooperate.
Right.
So my view always is it's really important to judge the performance in a fair and balanced way, not just by the latest tragedy.
Now, in New Jersey, are there any things being done to improve the system and kind of make sure that maybe where there were some problems before, they don't continue?
Yes, there's absolutely a major reform undergoing. It's actually court supervised. There was a litigation years ago and a settlement, but I think the state has made extraordinary progress. The number of kids taken out of their homes and treated out of home has been reduced from about 12,000 to 7,000.
Wow.
The number of kids in residential care, for example, has dropped very considerably. That's the least desirable outcome for kids in many cases. The number of kids we place out of state has been reduced to 2 or 3, I believe is the latest number that I've seen. And kids that, the amount of time it takes to achieve permanency has been reduced significantly, so that children no longer languish in foster care to the extent that they did years ago.
And is there anything you'd like to say to people that may be considering foster care, but they're hesitant because they're worried about how that could affect their current family at home?
Sure. I would say that I think one of the most wonderful things people do is open their homes and their hearts to a child in need. That the the department has improved to the extent that they can provide adoptive and foster parents with the supports they need to be good parents and provide a good home. And I would say that when you think about doing that, it's not just the child whose life you're making better, you're contributing to the future of New Jersey.
That is true, and I think the person who does it probably benefits as well. They get something out of it,
I believe
right?
so. I believe they do.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Stephanie. Thanks for having me today.
Okay.